If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents.
Hello and welcome to episode 231 of the BigRedBarel UK podcast. I'm Coleman. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. And as you can probably guess by me once again jumping into the hot seat.
Is it a hot seat?
It's quite hot. It's the hot seat in a cold room, so work out that one.
Is it not just warm by now?
No, it's a combination of the two temperatures of hot and cold that I like to call hold. Yeah, so Dan's away for this episode. He's away for next week's episode as well. But we still got a Tim.
Yep.
Which is great, because Tim's here, and that means Tim can do Tim things.
Like this.
Like talking.
Yeah.
Too much.
Definitely, basically.
All right, and so that means we've got to grab a third, and jumping over the way to via Big Red Barrelcast, as we do like to do from time to time, we've got our own favourite Canadian, Mr. PacManPolarBear.
What's going on, everybody?
He said the thing.
At least this time you can keep it in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, it's nice to reach out to Canada, get some love on the UK side of things. We've never had you on as a guest. We were discussing before the show. We've never actually podcast together as an episode. Well,
you two haven't podcasted together, but Pac-Man's been on BRB UK because of the massive E3 episode we had last year that was like 2.5 hours long, and everyone was on it.
Good knowledge.
And Dan still didn't make that one. All right, we've got a lot of news to crack on through, so we're going to jump straight into this week. I know I'm veering away from the Donald Trump stuff because Dan's not here, and that means we don't have to talk about Donald Trump. But that man has just done some really stupid stuff, and thankfully so for Mr. PewDiePie, because that's probably taken the pressure off him this week. I don't know if you guys have heard about PewDiePie.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't usually watch his stuff. I kind of caught up on this when, the whole storm broke kind of thing.
PewDiePie's a YouTuber. If you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, he's the most successful YouTuber with 53, I think at this point of recording, 53 million subscribers, which is more than anyone's ever made. And he's been kind of the face of YouTube for quite some time now.
And probably the most famous Swedish person alive at the moment, possibly.
I think you'll find the Swedish Chef is the most famous Swedish person.
I kind of specified alive, but yeah, okay.
He's alive. What are you talking about?
I don't want to share any childhood dreams over here, Coleman. Let's just move on.
Anyway, PewDiePie, video game, Swedish YouTuber, does Let's Plays and silly videos of the like. He's been on top of the world for quite some time now, until this week where, he hasn't lost any subscribers, but it's kind of come forward about these complaints about PewDiePie's videos for a while, and he's been making what's been described as anti-Semitic videos.
Yeah, that's a definite stretch. But anyway, go on.
Which includes he's been dressed up as in a Nazi-esque uniform while listening to Nazi propaganda, old recordings of Hitler, images of swastikas, and then recently the thing that kind of really kicked things off was he was trying to see how far he could push people on Fiverr. Which I don't know if you've checked out Fiverr before. It's a kind of a freelance website. You can get people to do images, videos, audio, articles, IT work, absolutely anything, and it starts at $5 is the idea.
Yeah.
And there's so many people on there doing so many weird things, including a guy who dresses up as Jesus Christ and will read anything you want, make a nice little personalized message for you. So he asked him to make a video saying Hitler did absolutely nothing wrong. And the guy did it. And PewDiePie put it on his channel. And then another one where he got two guys to fight over a sign and then hold the sign up and it will say absolutely anything. And I believe it was along the lines of all Jews must die or something.
It was pretty much exactly that.
It wasn't
But
nice.
To be fair, it's one of those things. If you look into it, and I think you were going to talk about this in a sec, but he also did a response video thing as well that he put up. That's I can see how people kind of think it may be a rant and stuff, but I don't know. As I will preface this with the fact that as I don't particularly watch his videos, but I generally thought as famous YouTubers go, he seems like a fairly likable guy. generally, kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I mean, I was on that kind of camp for a while where everyone's, you hear that, PewDiePie, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
I just could not stand him and the clips that would pop up on Facebook and YouTube and stuff, and I'd never really gotten into his videos. But then when I've watched him in interviews and read his articles and, interviews of other people, I've always thought he seems like a pretty decent guy. And so... Anyway, all this kind of stuff going on with the anti-Semitic videos, that's caused him to be dropped, first of all, by Maker, who if you don't know who Maker are, they're a kind of YouTube publishing powerhouse. They've owned some of the biggest names in fact, if you know of a big star on YouTube, it's a good chance that Maker owned them. And they're actually owned by Disney. So, first of all, Maker dropped PewDiePie. Felix Kilberg is his actual name. And then following that, YouTube have severed ties with him as well. So again, I mentioned YouTube use him as a kind of face of YouTube. He's always in the YouTube Rewinds as the kind of headline character there.
Yeah.
And also he has his very own show on YouTube Red, and it was the first show to be announced with the announcement of that platform, and that's also cancelled. He's had a bit of a kick in this week.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm upset because I got invited on the show, and this is the first topic. Because I don't like to because I know it's kind of not controversial, but it's a big talking point in the nerddom right now. So there's a playlist on YouTube right now of all his quote unquote anti-Semitic videos.
Yeah,
and to be fair isn't really the best way to say it, but at least say 80% of them are taken out of context, like showing the swastika stuff. He specifically made a video about people making swastikas in his game and saying, "Please stop doing that."
Yeah.
So you can't really use that against him.
Yeah, exactly.
And a bunch of the other ones sort of fall into that category where yes, there was Nazi imagery in them, but he wasn't promoting it. If anything, he was attacking.
No, it's done as a joke. It's a humorous take.
But then on the other side of it is, you can't say, "Oh, I wanted to show how crazy Fiverr is by doing something provocative." 1,000 people already beat you to that punchline, my friend.
Fiverr's pretty old now.
Yeah, like
it was in very bad taste, basically, kind of thing.
It is in bad taste, but like, why is the Nazi imagery your go-to to show how crazy things are? Like, when I think of all sorts of inflammatory things that I could do to be edgy, Nazi shit is not at the top of my list. It's just not. Like, there's a billion things he could have chosen to have those people say on Fiverr that would have been provocative and shocking, that would have gotten nowhere near the negative response that he got.
That's it. He's a YouTube celebrity that plays video games. Go after Keemstar or someone. Don't start ragging on the Jewish nation. That's wrong. That's not right.
And the other thing is his defense. When you see those prank videos or the social experiment videos, they like to call them, where they do something terrible and they're like, "Oh, we were just showing how crazy things can get." Like, they all have that same sort of
just a prank, bro.
Sorry, not sorry apology, and that sort of, we were just showing how society does. Like, they have this really sort of phony defense, and the whole "it's a joke" defense. That's not a get out of jail free card.
No. Well, the defense that he kept on going to, that I take some umbrage with generally, is just the fact that he was saying he believes that you should be able to make a joke about anything, although he agrees this was in bad taste, kind of thing. And it was just like, well, there are things that you shouldn't be making jokes about because you know that it's going to be just taken the wrong way by the wrong people, kind of thing. I mean, like,
I think I think you should be able to make a joke about almost anything, but it's dependent on your audience and your platform. When you're a YouTuber who plays video games that's predominantly aimed at children, let's face it, and that's a lot of young impressionable minds. That's and then putting that kind of info out there, that is going to be a problem. I'm not for kicking a man when he's down, but unless I've got their wallet.
But I don't think, look, if you watch the video of him doing it, I generally think that his reaction is I didn't think they'd do that. Yeah, and I think he genuinely tried to write one of the most outrageous things he could in the hope that they would turn it down. But I don't think there was quite the same thing. Anyway, I don't think it necessarily translated to them knowing what they were necessarily saying in full respect, kind of thing. I mean, like, so
I think he knew they were going to say it. I don't think he's like, "Oh, I can't believe they said it." And like, I believe, I'm not sure. I think the guys were were Indian or Bangladeshi or something. So probably didn't speak the language as well. Almost certainly didn't really. It seems very clear that they didn't actually realize what they were saying.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he did stick up for those two men individually and be like, please don't take it out on these guys, whatever. But I think he knew that they were going to say it.
Well, no, beyond that as well, he then edited a video and put it up for distribution that, like, you know, that was the punchline kind of thing. I mean, like, it was, and no matter how genuine his reaction was, and the, oh my god, they actually did it type of thing, he still was looking to profit off of that joke kind of thing. I mean, and that in it is just the thing that I take. I don't genuinely think that he believed in that message, or that he was looking to spread that message, or in any way be anti-Semitic. But I just think, in bad taste and you know, badly done.
Yeah, I don't think any of us think that. I don't think PewDiePie's an anti-Semite.
No.
I think he's stupid, at least in this particular instance. Like he did something stupid,
naively stupid. I think
the thing that I really am starting to cringe at is there's a whole provocateur part of YouTube that's become very popular.
Yeah,
and I find it really a really lazy way to sort of keep a fan base and sort of get views and everything else. And there's this reactionary thing that happens every time any of these people sort of cross the line, is they start going on the attack for things that they do themselves. Like even in his apology video, he's like, oh, the media, they write things about me for clickbait and everything else. Well, PewDiePie does clickbait as good as anyone does.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not putting up a video going, look, $5 gets you a Nazi propaganda message, and not expecting clickbait out of it.
A YouTuber with 5 million views, or a YouTuber with any sort of visibility, you are the media.
Yeah.
Your YouTube is a form of media. You're a personality on that form of media. You're the media. You're part of the media. There isn't like this, that's media and this isn't media. You're part of the media. So you can't blame the media for doing clickbaits when you're the media and you clickbait all the time. Like you that's not,
you're playing part of the system. Don't start yelling at the system, basically.
Yeah, like there's this idea that YouTubers aren't part of the media, and they're like, oh, it's old media versus new media. That was true a decade ago, but most of the big media big media houses, Wall Street Journal included, and New York Post, the vast majority of the people covering his content and everything else are the same age as he is. They're not old dinosaurs. It's not Walter Cronkite going after PewDiePie. You know, it's not. And this idea that, oh, it's a personal attacks with people with personal agendas to report on things that happened. I mean, you can go after them for misrepresenting certain bits of content, which happens. Mm-hmm. You know, reporters do. They obviously, like, specifically with that swastika thing, they really made a lot of outlets have been making a big thing about that, and that's definitely pulled out of context.
That seemed to be laid on very thickly in a very bad attempt to do that sort of thing, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, at first it was about the Fiverr videos, you know, in gaming media, and then as it went backwards, you know, as other publications start picking up, then they start looking back into his catalogue and seeing what else they can find as well to throw in there and go, PewDiePie's a racist, here's a swastika on one of his videos, you know, that kind of thing. But it did start off with the whole Fiverr thing being an issue. You talk about the apology he's issued and used that to attack the media, essentially. So this came out today, 16th, as we're recording, 16th of February. The video's titled My Response. It's 11 minutes 5, in fact. And he spends just over a minute with his apology, saying that he admits he went too far, and that he apologized for the words he used, as he knows they offended people, which is the most political way of doing an apology, by the way. That's a Donald Trump apology. Then he proceeds to spend the rest of the video blaming the media, including the Wall Street Journal, which he heavily focuses on, and claims that they're the ones who take him out of context. But also he basically says that YouTube and Disney, they had this, line of ideas of what they were going to do. And because it was reported by the Wall Street Journal, then they had to, pull the trigger and get rid of him.
Oh, he specifically says the Wall Street Journal forced YouTube and Maker to drop him. No, they didn't. You said you did something really dumb. It was covered by any news outlet at all, and there's repercussions for that. It was anyone would have done it. No one needed to force them to do it. The minute it came to their attention, they were going to do that. They were always going to drop you. No one's going to stand beside guy who paid people to hold up a sign that said "Death to Jews." Like, there's no scenario in in which he's not going to get dropped by sponsors. It's madness.
Well, I don't think this is going to be the last one that we'll hear of the story overall.
No, I'm getting a bit sick of seeing headlines that say PewDiePie scandal or PewDiePie, in trouble.
Well, that's the thing. When you're on top, it's everyone wants to pull you down. But then I also, maybe a bit of his arrogance maybe got in the way of him seeing how much of a problem this was.
Well, just to kind of wrap this up, because he's been in trouble a few times in the past, and the more recent ones were the whole issue where he said when he hits 50 million subscribers, he's deleting his channel, and it meant some secondary channel that he wasn't even using anymore, and people thought that was his. That one kicked off a lot of issue late last year. And the other one was being the YouTube Rewind video. If you see those at the end of each year, they get all the more popular YouTubers and they make a weird music video where they lip sync and stuff and dance around and recreate memes and things. And PewDiePie commented somewhere that he wasn't featured as heavily as he usually is because YouTube are racist and they're trying to feature Lily Singh over a white guy and have her as their fate. And he later, then about a week later, 2 weeks later, went, "Oh, no, I was only joking about that. I didn't mean that at all." So his name pops up a lot lately.
Especially with that, she's a better and more likable to more people spokesperson for YouTube than he is. He's a shock jock, and she's a sort of mostly family-friendly comedian that tours around and talks to young girls and a much wider demographic than his sort of specific view.
You stick those two and Zoella together and you've got like this triple of YouTube that's friendly for all sponsors in some way or another. Hits all demographics, really.
The last thing I want to say is during his most recent video, he specifically says whether or not it was taken out of context that what he does not normalize Nazism in the public eye, even if hate groups are picking up on him. The thing is, even if he feels that way, you don't get to make that determination.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's not how it goes. When Nazi groups, I'm quoting them right now. The Daily Stormer says it normalizes Nazism and marginalizes our enemies. They specifically say that. They're the one, the actual racists, the actual Nazis are the ones who get to make that determination, and so do the people that are being attacked. You don't get to decide, "Oh, I'm not normalizing Nazism." Like you don't get to be the one who makes that decision. That's not how
your
perception works.
All right, I'm sure more of this is going to pop up as the weeks go on. But anyway, we'll see what happens to Mr. Pie. It doesn't seem to be affecting his subscriber count anyway, so...
Oh, no, it won't. Most of his subscribers are locked in.
Now he doesn't have to pay a publisher, a channel publisher anymore. He can just take that money himself, so... Anyway, so moving on, Activision, they've... first of all, they started this week off by saying, hey, we're going back to basics with Call of Duty, and everyone went, oh, I wonder what that means. Redundancies, that's what it means, apparently. So Activision have actually reportedly laid off 5% of their workforce across several different studios, including Infinity Ward and Beanox. So apparently they've axed 20 staff members from Infinite Warfare developer Infinity War. And this is due to realigning their resources to support upcoming slate and adapt to an accelerating transit. They're getting rid of people. It's not great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically the new Call of Duty wasn't good, and Battlefield kicked the shit out of us.
I actually really like the new Call of Duty.
Oh my god, Kit Harington was just...
That appealed to me a lot more than any previous Call of Duty did.
Oh my god, just the minute I'm like, Jon Snow, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It was still the highest selling video game of the year. It just wasn't as big as previous Call of Duty games. But I think a lot of video games took a hit last year that they expected bigger numbers on, like Watch Dogs 2 and Titanfall 2.
I think a lot of people were surprised how well Battlefield 1 set in World War I resonated, though.
Yeah.
And I just hope, I know people are like, oh, they're going to go back to World War II. If you're going to go back to World War II, please put it in a setting that hasn't been done before. I don't need to see the Germans and the French or the Americans or whatever in the same places, fight in the same places. Like, send them to some portion of that history that hasn't been covered. There's lots of them.
Like Gosport.
just don't think you can go back to World War II or Vietnam and be like, okay,
Dad's
this is
Army.
how... Yeah, like...
I want Call of Duty Dad's Army. I will play that. I will buy that day one. I'll buy whatever season pass special edition you want. Just make it happen.
It is unfortunate that people got canned.
Yeah, obviously.
But apparently, life at Infinity Ward since It's been a few years now since that big split between the original heads of Infinity Ward went to make, was it Respawn?
Yeah, Respawn Studios.
The guys who made Titanfall, I believe.
Yeah.
Since they split with Infinity Ward and went their separate ways. Apparently, the new Infinity Ward that came up after that hasn't been the stablest, happiest place ever since.
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's not surprising that there's a shakeup and whatever, but it's always crappy because those guys have no political agenda. They just want to make games.
The one that got me was Beanox, and not because like why would they get rid of people from Beanox? Like why didn't that happen sooner? Like they lost the Spider-Man license. What else did Beanox make?
Well, wasn't Beanox responsible for that really terrible X-Men game a little while ago that didn't have?
No. That was Silicon Knights.
Oh, was it Silicon Knights? The one.
Yeah, the X-Men Legends or something.
Yeah,
like that.
the one about X-Men that had no X-Men in it, that you couldn't play as an X-Men. You just play as some generic nobody. Like what?
Oh, sorry. Here you go. Beanox. They worked on Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, apparently.
Good.
And Skylander games.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But yeah, I know Beanox mainly because that title pops up on all the Spider-Man games that have come out from Activision that
have not been good.
No. And they apparently they've been mainly a port house lately. They've been working on all the Tony Hawk ports, and they've worked with Guitar in the past, and Skylanders, that's been put on hiatus this year as well. So I'm wondering if that's got some. If you're not working on a new Call of Duty port and you're not working on Skylanders, then yeah, I can see why there's reductions now.
Who's making the new Spider-Man that's the PlayStation exclusive?
Sony and Insomnia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so that'll be good.
Yeah. It looks
Yes.
really
We hope it'll be good.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
it
the
better be good.
the bar's pretty low.
well, the bar's low at the moment, but historically, like, Spider-Man should make for a good video game, generally, no?
Oh, yeah, can't wait. But yeah, it sucks that people got laid off.
Yeah.
Like, me and Pac-Man have both been in this boat recently, so it's not great.
Not a good boat to be in.
Last headline of this week, we've got the Steam Greenlight program. If you know about the Steam Greenlight program, it's essentially you pay $100 to Valve to go, hey, I'm making a game, I'm going to put it on your Greenlight scheme, and then people get to vote on it, and if it gets enough votes, it gets published on Steam.
Yep.
And this has been abused horribly throughout the years since it's been created. This originally went to, I think we spoke about this before when Steam said they were looking at replacing Greenlight, and that was about a year and a half ago. And the issue at that time was more kind of internet celebrities boosting past people that have worked really hard on their games to just kind of make a kind of cash-in game out there. But the problem's kind of it's progressed into more where it's been these big shell companies basically making games
big
out
shells.
Yeah, making Big Shell from Metal Gear Solid 2.
Right.
No, they've been making these quote-unquote indie games, but they've been buying loads of assets and just sticking them into a big pot and asset flipping them.
Yeah.
And then putting that out there. And then as soon as they get cottoned on that they've made too many terrible games, they'll go out and change the name of their company, or they'll change the name of the game, or, they'll just keep doing this process over and over again.
Well, that and just like I can't remember what the stat was for how many games last year, but more. I'm pretty sure I'm not speaking hyperbolically or whatever, but last year there was more games released on Steam than in like the first like the last 5 years before it, like thousands of games. Like
Yes.
Steam is just drowning in shovelware.
Yes, it is.
The minute they opened the floodgates, it became almost impossible. Like there's 1,000 amazing indie games that we'll never play because they never got noticed. They never made their money. Maybe like unless it gets some sort of cultural zeitgeist behind it, you never hear about those really, really great indies, and so much of it is just crap. Like, just because you and your buddies want to make some cheap game and you could pay the $100 and you could pass Greenlight doesn't really mean you should be on the Steam storefront. Like, it doesn't. Like, I don't want to be playing everything a couple college guys threw together in between drinking beers. Like, I don't.
But it's like if it was just someone, a couple of guys going, hey, we want to be game developers, we're going to make our game, and it was rubbish, I'd be okay with that. But it's not that. It is these CD companies that make these, very cheaply made and cheaply pushed out, but make money off them somehow. Video games. If you want an example of them, Yeah, just go check out Jim Sterling's YouTube channel. He tends to sit through these things. The Jimquisition, I believe, is the channel name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm glad they're getting rid of Greenlight. I'm not such a big fan of what they're replacing it with, but I feel like right now, if you're an indie, there should be a separate platform for, you're an indie, you go to, because there's a number of really growing indie specific sales platforms right now. Go there.
Like itch.io or...
Yeah, that's what it's called. Take your indie there. Like, basically, build an indie, take it to one of the dedicated indie sites, prove your worth, prove your audience, make a name for yourself, and then once you're stable, apply to get on the Steam storefront where you can compete and you've got the money and you've got the cred to sort of make a name for yourself, because having it going directly to Steam, from development to Steam as a really, really tiny indie or anyone else, it's just not working. It's just not working.
Yeah.
There's just too many of them, and the system's just so easily abused.
I've experienced this vicariously through another, where a friend of mine, he originally put something out on, I believe it was a school project originally, a college project, and he put something out on itch.io, and then went, okay, that seems to be received well. And then he went to Kickstarter and then was shot down immediately, like, oh, didn't hit that target. That was I kind of jumped the gun there. And instead went to Greenlight. And because of Greenlight, it ended up getting recognition. It ended up releasing. He made money for it. It's been featured on other videos. And now he's looking at a console port. So that, it does work, but unfortunately there are too many people abusing the system.
Discoverability is such a massive problem on not just that system, but it's getting to be that way on consoles, especially PS4 as well, I think. But
PS4 is
PS4's jumping in this boat.
Yeah.
Some of the crap they're
basically
putting on there.
there needs, the minute Steam and now, like you said, PlayStation 4, like there needs to be it needs to be a curated garden.
Yeah.
It just does. And the minute you let your hands off the reins, I can't remember what it was called. Like, there was some really terrible game that just dropped on PS4 that was like this broken mass where you're like a bear, you were like the tiger,
Black Tiger.
Black Tiger.
But what I think you should do is have it more structured the way that they had it in the previous generation, where there were tiers to it, basically. You could have a game that was released on XBLA, and then they had the whole XBL, or do they call it the separate thing? Xbox Live Indie Arcade, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Where it was the separate thing where you could make a certain game, and it was a more limited system. But expand upon that and just have like these are the creative games that we're recommending as a solid title. Not saying that everyone's going to like it, but this is a solid game type thing. And here's everything else. And this is at a slightly lower level. People can still make money here. There's a game that releases and gets buzz, great, go for it. But generally, these are the games that are of a certain standard, at least, kind of thing, that hold to certain principles.
A lot of it is Steam themselves have the minute Steam really got big, their ability to community manage really went down, and their ability to talk to the fans and talk to the community has really been poor. Like, they should have been addressing this 3 years ago, not 2017. They've been really, really slow to react, and there's always going to be a problem with curating the garden of releases. Like, it's never going to be a perfect system.
That's the problem when you go not only is it the fact that they got sort of big and successful and a victim of their own success, it's also a reflection of the fact that going down the more kind of lots more indie games being released market meant that there's a much wider range of games being released type thing as well.
Well, I mean, the indie scene is amazing. Like, I love the fact that there's it used to be AAA and then it used to be shovelware. For a good 5-6 years, that's basically what the market was. And then
don't forget mid-tier.
Well,
mid-tier is my favorite.
Well, for a while there, mid-tier was just considered throwaway or indie itself. Like, it wasn't really a viable space. But now you've got like $80 games, $40 games, and then you got sort of like the 20 and under. And then you have a little bit of variation between. And it's so much easier
you need to
for
learn
really
to
talented...
speak in pounds when you're on this show, I'm afraid, though, Pac-Man. This is the UK show. Just so you know, it's like about £50 for a game here, like a over-the-counter kind of console game.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, and the other thing is, really talented guys can get the hands on tools to build a game a lot cheaper. Like, it's a lot easier for an independent studio to make a high quality game with the tools that they can afford than it was even 5 years ago. Like, I mean, the amount of people using Unity right now is nuts.
But the problem for me now is there are a lot of talented people that I don't think will see bubble to the surface as much as they deserve to, just because of the wide range and kind of breadth of stuff that's in their way, basically. But yeah, anyway, we should probably move on. We're halfway through the show and only
we didn't
just
even
done
talk
news.
about the replacement.
But yeah, and didn't really talk about, was it Steam Direct they're calling it, are they?
Steam Direct, it's called. You're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops if you join up with Steam. Well, this is meant to launch in spring. You're going to have to do a bunch of digital paperwork, personal company verification, tax documents, similar to the process of applying for a bank account.
But at least that is going to cut down on some of this. It will cut down on people just being able to just name a new gaming company and go again, kind of thing.
But the big one is as they've called it, a recoupable application fee, which at the moment has been rumored to be anywhere between $300 and $5,000.
Well, who knows until they actually confirm that, but
that should cut down some of the $5,000.
The thing that'll hurt people is the same thing that's hurting indies now, is that creative people are often not really good business people, especially first-time developers. Like you could be the best video game developer in the world, but if you don't know how to do your taxes and you don't know how to, create a company and do your paperwork, I mean, it's the same thing that happens to celebrities and football players and everything else. Is like, you need to be good at business too, and a lot of these guys learn that lesson the hard way.
All right, we've got to move on. There's no exact date, but it's some point in spring. So we've got to run through the updates, and I will do these. I say it every week.
Yeah, you try.
We'll do these quickly. So PlayStation Now, we hardly knew thee.
Oh.
It's that system. It's going to be just available on the PS4 and the PC starting from the 15th of August. So you won't be able to use it on PS3, Vita, PS TV, Sony Bravia TVs, Sony Blu-ray players, or Samsung TVs.
All four of the people that were doing that are now going to have to stop.
I've been saving my month because I've been waiting for the system to be worth it. Month. Yeah, because you've got that free month when you sign up to it.
It's just an odd sentence, that's all. Anyway, carry on.
Is it a month or a week? I can't remember. Anyway, I've been saving it for a rainy day, basically. So this was originally announced at CES.
You were saving a month for a rainy day. That's a bad plan, Coleman.
Shut up.
Fundamentally flawed.
So this was originally announced at CES 2014, which I specifically remember when they showed this off, they were like, okay, Sony TVs, Sony Blu-ray players, Sony phones, like anything Sony, that's what you can use the service on. We're also going to aim for iPads and iPhones and all this kind of stuff. Yep. And it seems like that's kind of been shot down before it's even left the gate.
Yeah, well, I mean, PlayStation TV was a colossal failure right out the gate, so I'm not surprised it's gone there.
I'm surprised they're still mentioning it, to be honest.
I mean, most of the, like myself included, most people I know using it are doing it on their PC, just because that's really convenient. I really do enjoy that, even though I'm not currently still subscribed. But I also use it on my Vita because I'm one of the people who owns a Vita.
I think we all own a Vita, to be fair.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems weird that the Vita and the PlayStation 3 are getting cut, because PlayStation 3 still has a massive user base, and I gotta imagine a lot of them are taking, at least a significant amount of them were using the service, but I guess not.
I'm guessing they're looking at their statistics and going, right, who's using this on the Vita, who's using this on the PS3? Is it worth us carrying this cost?
Just for the record, how much does that cost you in the US? I say that
I think it's like $14.99 a month or something
in the UK. So for me, they literally, like, I was on the trial of the service and it was okay, and I kept on forgetting about it and going, oh yeah, I've got that, I should play some of those games. But then it was not absolutely perfect in playback for me. There were times where it wasn't 100%. I mean, that was in the early trial, so I don't know if they ironed out some of those kinks and it got a bit better.
It did get a lot better, but I can understand. Well, you know what? It makes sense. I mean, the PS3 probably struggled with it more than other platforms did, and same thing with the Vita.
Well, for me, it was on the PS4 that the performance was poor for me. But as I said, I don't know if they ironed out some of those kinks a bit better. But for me, they just priced me out of being interested in it. It was completely like, no, that's not a price I'm willing to pay for that service. So no, thanks.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's not really. I mean. There's a lot more games available for it, but it's not comparable to just getting all those old games backwards compatible like the Xbox is doing. Even though they're not apples to apples comparison, like the two services aren't. But I'm playing a lot of my classics on my old Xbox because they're backwards compatible, right? But playing PlayStation View on your PC is dope. I really like that.
All right. Also, Nintendo have announced that Splatoon 2 will receive a global test fire, their words, not mine, on Nintendo Switch from March the 24th to 26th.
Woohoo.
So over the course of the 3 days, the game will be open for 6 one-hour sessions, cycle through 4v4 turf war matches, and players will be able to use 4 new weapons alongside 2 remixed versions of the Splat Roller and the Splat Charger.
Woohoo.
So if you're getting a Switch and you're worried about the lineup of games,
Which I am.
For 2 days, you're okay.
for at least 2-3 days, you'll be able to play a little bit of Splatoon 2.
Why are they calling it a demo when it's obviously a beta? I don't understand that.
It's a global test fire, Pac-Man.
Because it's Nintendo and they're only just getting used to the internet. They don't like using the web beta yet.
They did this with Splatoon when they were doing all the beta stuff for there, and they just sort of go, right, okay, now we're going to loads of people on at the same time. Now we're going to stop it. And it is literally a technical test that they're doing.
It's just Nintendo and the internet. It's just weird. It's just weird.
They're getting there. They've just figured out what phones are. Give them a chance.
Oh my god, don't get me started on this voice chat on my phone.
Speaking about Nintendo and phones.
Oh my god. I mean, talk about making me want to cancel that pre-order. God damn it.
Pokemon Go is expanding this week from the introduction of more than 80 Pokemon originally discovered in the Johto region of the Pokemon Gold and Silver games. The game update will also implement features such as encounter gameplay, expanded wardrobes, and much more. Still no trading as far as I'm aware.
I turned the corner because we'll talk about it a little later, but I started getting into emulation. So I've literally gone back to the first Pokemon game.
Rather than playing Pokemon Go, basically. Yeah.
I got that on my 3DS.
Rather than playing Pokemon Go, and I've gone, I'm talking like all the way back, so like Game Boy on up.
Yeah.
And I'm oh man, I played way too much Pokemon. Like I'm basically up to Pokemon Black, the first Black. But I mean, that's just to get to that. That's a lot of Pokemon games. And the more I play them, the more I'm like, Pokemon Go isn't Pokemon. What is this? I mean, the only reason I like it is because I have a lot of mental health issues, and getting out of the house is kind of hard for me sometimes.
Yeah, so
and
it's just a good thing to encourage you to do so. Right?
Yeah, it's just nice. So like, instead of retreating, I'm like, oh, if I walk an extra block, I can get this reward. It's a stupid game. It's just really, it's really, especially when you're playing as much Pokemon as me. I'm like, this isn't really rewarding. I'm literally just using this to hold mental illness at bay.
Yeah, I used it for exercise.
Yeah, I
still use it for exercise.
I didn't play, but hey,
that's Pokemon Go 3 out of 5 on BigRedBarel.com.
Yeah, I don't know if you listened to our last couple of shows, but you should be playing the free to play Fire Emblem game if you're not already. Because that's good.
So I just got a tweet saying, please don't talk about Fire Emblem. I think Tim is on commission.
Hey, I like that game.
That was so well timed. Thank you, Rob Evans. Right, okay, moving on. As part of a new patch, massive patch in fact, Watch Dogs 2 is getting an extended ending.
Oh.
And may just be hinting at setting for Watch Dogs 3 if, London is the rumour. Anyway. The patch comes in at 10 gig on the console and 14 on PC, adds new areas, emotes, clothing, and the carton dance from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Because you've got to have that as a emote these days in a
That's in
video
Destiny,
game.
so you might as well stick it in there as well. But yeah, I checked out the extended ending because I rented that game, I finished that game, and then I sent it back, so I couldn't watch the new ending in person. But yeah, as a little it's a little conversation tacked in at the end. Really.
Yeah, it's really not a lot. I played through it. I mean, the thing is, Watch Dogs 2 is tenfold better than Watch Dogs 1. Watch Dogs 1 was just a big, boring disappointment.
Yeah, see, I got put off Watch Dogs 2 by Watch Dogs 1, basically, so...
I think most people did as the sales figures show.
But I mean, Watch Dogs 2 is, minus a few mechanics, is night and day different. I mean, besides the fact that, yes, they're both open worlds and they have hacking, but that's basically the only thing they have in common. Like, Watch Dogs 2 is... the first one mixed with Saints Row for all intents and purposes. Like it's really goofy.
Watch Dogs 1 is dreary, unsatisfying, boring, broken, and just all-round underwhelming. Watch Dogs 2 is fun.
Yeah.
It's
all it needed. Colour, fun, interesting characters.
It had a poor release date, and it hasn't been getting the sales it wanted because 3 weeks after it released, you had all the big games leading up into the holiday season, and it was just pushed to the side. Like,
if that was a February release, I would have been all over that.
I think there was a case for that, but I also think its bigger problem was the fact that it sold so many copies of the first one, and so many people were disappointed in it that it was working against itself, basically. But it does seem to be the way to get me interested again in a Ubisoft open world game is to set it in London, apparently. So okay.
They're totally sold.
The third one.
I've barely played Assassin's Creed Syndicate, but I still bought it because it's.
I quite liked it. I got to climb Big Ben. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's it. I did that as I achieved. Done.
I hate all the locations in because like the 3 coolest locations that have ever appeared in an Assassin's Creed game were never put into the main Assassin's Creed game. so you had India, China, and Japan, which would be amazing settings for a main Assassin's Creed game, and they
Was
made
Japan
them
ever in there?
And they made them into the side.
They made them into the side story.
No, there was India and China. I remember. Was it?
And Japan.
Japan. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I mean, depending on which services you're subscribed to, you may have gone for free a couple times. I know I've got a couple copies. And those games aren't actually that bad, but I would have much rather seen those as a setting.
Yeah, they seem like a fantastic setting for an assassin game, basically. China or Japan would have been fantastic.
Japan in particular, like ninjas.
Oh no,
like
no
ninjas
Japan.
Versus
it was
assassins.
Russia.
It was Russia.
Oh, Russia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Russia, that's it.
But still.
I was going to say, because Japan's the one that the fans have been clamoring for so long now.
It was China, India, and Russia, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Google foo. Anyway, right, we've got to move on. Tim,
yes.
Have you picked up Street Fighter 5 yet?
I really nearly pulled the trigger on the other day. Like, copies are fairly cheap, but the fact that I still need to want to buy a controller so I don't wear a hole in my thumb to play.
This is my new favourite feature. Every couple of months, I'm just going to ask you if you've bought it yet, and one day you will, and then
I definitely will pick it up one day.
Blaze Blue!
So there's the addition of a new character has been announced. Colleen, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. Anyway, she's the Phantasm of Snow and Ice, or Elsa from Disney's Frozen, I believe.
Let it snow, basically.
She's going to make her date. Yeah, she's going to be added to the game. Available in a season pass anyway, season 2 season pass. Along with Akuma and 4 other mystery characters on the 28th of February. But if you want a better fighting game that has Akuma available in it, Tekken 7's just around the corner.
Yeah, he's good in that, I have to say. He was fun.
Damn good game. Yeah, me and Tim kicked the crap out of me playing that game. I think I won 1 game in 20.
Yeah. Tekken was always, like, Yoshimitsu and me are bros.
Oh, that's not good. I hate fighting Yoshimitsu.
I love that character.
So unpredictable and annoying.
But, I mean, I've always been into Tekken, Blaze Blue, and Guilty Gear. I'm really glad. I think Guilty Gear made it into EVO this year. Yeah, XRD, the sign, or whatever. I can't remember what kind of ridiculous
Arms?
last name.
Is Arms in there?
Arms is not in there, no.
No.
Okay.
No.
One day we'll have Arms.
Yeah.
Me and my Nintendo brethren. Anyway, on the fighting scene still, more characters have been added to the DC Fighter sequel Injustice 2
Ooh.
in the form of Black Canary, Cheetah, Scarecrow, and the returning Catwoman.
Okay, I'll stop you just there, because I have to admit...
Oh, and Swamp Thing. Sorry, I missed Swamp Thing.
I haven't read much of the old DC stuff lately. Who the hell is Cheetah, though?
Cheetah is an enemy of Wonder Woman.
Right, okay.
She's like a woman who looks like a cheetah.
Yeah, I kind of got that from the picture, but I was like, I don't know you at all. I guess I know less Wonder Woman.
She's often one of Wonder Woman's foes. What you need to do is sit down and watch all the DC animated movies, which are as good as the live action DC movies are.
She's in Doom,
bad.
isn't she?
She's in four or five different animated movies.
Because isn't there some that were based on kind of some of the Michael Turner Batman Superman spin-offs which she was in as well? So there's a movie of that, I think, as well, no?
Yeah. The DC animated movies are so good. There's like 20 or so.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of
really
them, but
good.
yeah, I do need to watch more of them. There's a few of them on Amazon Prime.
Cheetah in the game looks awful. There's one of like
She's the Killer Frost of this game.
I'm not talking about like her moves or anything. I'm just talking about like visually, because there's like they show off 2 costumes in the trailer where she's shown off, and one of them it looks like she's like the 12th runner-up for a DC Comics porn parody audition. Like, it's just, she looks awful. She looks like someone's mom put like middies on someone's hands and made her wear a G-string and then just like glued on a crappy cheetah mask onto a person and said, go out there and be a cheetah. Like, it looks terrible. Oh, like the thing about the both the Injustice games and DC versus Mortal Kombat before it, the more human looking characters always look off. There's something wrong about the way they look. The Uncanny Valley is like
it's
50 valleys stuck together. Okay. It's really vast. But
my favorite one in the last game was the Batman Forever Batman skin. Not Batman Forever. Batman. God damn it! I can't remember the name of it. The future.
Can't remember
Batman.
your Batman's Coleman. What?
Batman Beyond.
Coleman? What is going on?
Batman Beyond. Thank you, Pac-Man. Batman Beyond skin that you could only get if you got the mobile game and unlocked Batman, which took me a year. But I finally got that character skin, and then he comes down and he's wearing his Batman Beyond character skin, and it's just like the suit. So it's a different character who wears the Batman Beyond suit. It's not Bruce Wayne,
right?
So Bruce Wayne is very muscly in the game,
yeah.
And then he comes down in this suit, and it's just like it looks really off because he's just massive beefcake man dressed in this skin tight suit. It's weird, but anyway, Batman. Injustice 2. I am actually insanely excited. That's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, PC on the 16th of May.
Swamp Thing looks amazing.
He looks brilliant.
He looks so good. Oh man.
I did like the last one a lot, I have to say. It was good.
Yeah.
A very good game
It
overall.
was good.
So usually with these games, like Mortal Kombat comes out, and I look at that and go, well, they're going to do an unrated, an Ultimate Edition with all the DLC and stuff, because when you tally up the cost of all the costumes and the fighters and all that kind of stuff, if you want it all, it's going to cost you a lot more than, some of them, like more than £100 if you get everything all together.
Sometimes it's best to wait.
Yeah, so I usually wait them out. Injustice 2, because I like the first one so much, I'm going to have to pick it up. It's going to have to be a day one. Yeah. Anyway, Battlefield 1 is getting a winter update. It will increase class ranks, bring back the combat ribbons, and...
Are they bringing in snow?
Yes. Full patch notes can be found on battlefield.com.
Yeah.
And lastly, in the updates, Deep End Games and their publisher Feardemic have announced that Perception is coming to the Xbox One in addition to PS4 and PC as originally announced. No other details like release dates or anything has been given, but they have released a new trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen Perception at all. It's the game where you're a blind woman and you're kind of sort of Daredevil-like. You're traveling, you're kind of working your surroundings through sonar.
Right.
She taps a walking stick on the floor and everything kind of highlights in a blue outline. Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
I literally had not heard of this game till I read the agenda.
Yeah, I think it's ex-BioWare, not BioWare, ex-Bioshock devs working on this one.
It does look neat. It's not my cup of tea, but it looks cool.
It's weird because but when the Bioshock studio was announced as shrinking down or closing or whatever, it's to me like it seems like 10 different passion projects that are very similar to Bioshock have suddenly popped up, and I'm looking forward to playing every single one of them. So that's great. All right, that is a very hefty news segment, so we might end up going into overtime today, but let's talk about the games. Yes, let's talk about the games we done played. Who wants to start us off today?
You've got multiple things common, so let's get at least one of yours done in the bag.
Okay, do you want to know about Dimension Drive or Dad Quest?
I want to hear about Dad Quest because that just sounds great.
Is the correct answer. So Dad Quest popped up a while ago on my radar because it's a 2D pixel art side-scroller RPG puzzle type game.
Right.
And it involves you playing as a dad wielding a child as your weapon. So immediately that called to me because I love pixel art style games and I love,
beating up things with a child.
So, this actually came to Kickstarter a while ago, so I backed it, and then yesterday, I think, I got sent my code, so I played a good few hours of this. I also got to try it out at EGX last year as well.
Right.
so I've got to try it a little bit early. Mouse and keyboard only, no controller at the moment, so I'm still waiting for controller support, which I'm okay with a mouse and keyboard every now and then, but I need a first-person game. I do not need a side-scrolling platformer for a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like... Yeah, no.
I mean, WASD controls fine, but I need arrow controls as well. Anyway, so yeah, the whole point of this is you're a dad, but you're not a dad in the traditional sense of you sire a child or you adopt a child. You enter a kind of, it's like a league of dads.
League of Dads?
League of Dads.
Essentially, yeah, like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You kind of join this secret society.
To kill Sean Connery's career.
Exactly, to kill Sean Connery's career.
You're thinking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen now, you can't get back on your dad quest.
So the whole idea of it, yeah, you kind of join up with this league, you're a stereotypical dad, you're wearing embarrassingly short shorts and you've got a moustache and you're manly and you do manly things. And then you're assigned a child, which you get to name your child as well. So I think I called mine Jeff McSpongeface or something daft like that. Oh no, that was my first game, then I lost. So my second one's called Glanthor the Destroyer. That's my son.
Nice.
And then once you've got your child, you either use them as a melee weapon or you can throw them at people. And along the way,
does he make like little like kid sounds when you throw him?
No, he doesn't really make any sounds. It's because it's pixel, so it's
that's a missed opportunity. He should be like wee.
It's all chip tunes and bit sounds and stuff. So
random toddler sounds.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I'm not sure how much we can remain on our high horse about PewDiePie and his Nazism if we're going to be laughing quite so much about child abuse.
But this is all very comedy tongue in cheek.
Good, as long as that's understood.
Wait. We're just seeing how far we can push it and see how society reacts.
Well, no, we're not. That's the point.
I apologise because I've realised that some of the words I use may offend people.
Yeah, I'm sorry if some people were offended. I'm not sorry I offended people. I'm sorry if you were offended.
Anyway, where was I with this? Oh yeah, so the kind of the things you're going after. I mean, a lot of the enemies. I'm very early in the game because again, no controller support, so I kind of suck. But a lot of the things I'm attacking are pigeons.
Right?
Yeah, coincidentally, the creator made like a free itch.io game about pigeons as well, which I cannot find for the life of me. But he sent me an email about it the other day. But anyway, so as you're playing this game, you unlock experience points that go to your child, and then your child starts growing up the more it levels up. So my child went from small child to slightly like toddler, and then you get a skill tree related to that toddler, that child, and you can unlock more abilities. Like so, instead of just lobbing the child at an enemy, you can kind of power up your shots, and you can call him back to you as well instead of having to go pick him up. All that it's brilliant. It's something very satisfying about grabbing a child by his ankles and whacking a pigeon with him. But as well, it is an RPG. It's very funny. It's very it's kind of British dry wit comedy in the writing as well.
Can we just point out that BigRedBarel UK does not condone the killing of pigeons with small children?
The Big Red Barrel cast absolutely supports the killing of pigeons.
We don't.
Pigeons are right up there with ducks. I hate them both. We've had this conversation on the podcast. Filthy before. Animals.
Yeah, if you want to know why Pac-Man's scared of ducks, that's on the E3 episode, I believe.
Yeah.
What a way to derail. But yeah, so I'm only a few hours into the game. I'm not too far. But what I'm playing at the moment, I'm really enjoying. It actually releases on early access on the 23rd of February for Steam. So you can pick that up in early access if you like from then. But
nice.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying what I'm playing so far. And again, I need to progress further, but I need that controller support. Excalibur Games, if you're listening, please give me that controller support.
They're listening and they're like, yeah, I'm on that.
This man really likes children and pigeons. Pac-Man, you spoke about the emulation stuff earlier. Do you want to jump into that?
Oh my god, what an endless... You know when you've got your lanes of video games, like you got your foothold in the different communities.
Yep.
And then you jump into a new thing and it's just a deep, dark chasm to just get lost in.
Whole new world.
I'm I couldn't get an NES Classic like 99% of the world. And everyone was like, oh, just buy a Raspberry Pi, which is that sort of self-contained mini computer that you can get for like
made in the UK
for very little money.
Made in the UK.
I don't know what it would be in the UK like
well, no,
£20.
They
Something
were
like
made
that?
in the UK though. And that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
British invention.
They're not very expensive. It's a little self-contained all-in-one computer that you can buy, and you can use it to make all sorts of stuff. People have been using them to make their own home security system and to all sorts of things. Like you can make drones out of them. But a lot of people have been using the Raspberry Pi to make their own retro console.
Just for the record, I interviewed the creator of the Raspberry Pi just after its release about its possible use in gaming. It's on.
Nice.
The article's on the site somewhere, I believe. On BigRedBarel.com.
Yeah, so the Retro Pi is basically when you want to make a Raspberry Pi computer into a retro gaming console.
Nice.
It turns into it's part of the Retro Pi scene, and it's really great, because it's really small. It's basically the size of a hockey puck. It's got USB and HDMI and all that sort of stuff.
That is the most Canadian measurement you could have given anything. Pac-Man, by the way.
The hockey puck.
Like, I have no idea how big a hockey puck is. Like, I've seen hockey before. I'm still not entirely sure how big a hockey puck is.
I got what you meant.
I got a vague idea, but anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so I got that, and that scene, the Retro Pi scene itself is pretty massive. It's always being iterated on and everything else. But basically, you build a little tiny little mini console, and you pack it full of emulators for the NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, and what have you. And you can play and emulate all those old games and sort of have all that entire library to be played on your big screen TV or your computer or whatever. So I got that. And it cost me a few bucks, and I got a couple, retro controllers to work with it. But that wasn't enough for me because the Raspberry Pi isn't really powerful enough to emulate the Wii or PlayStation 2 games or Dreamcast or anything else. So then I went big, and because I just finished building a new tower, and it's gorgeous. It's all red and shiny with LED lights. It's beautiful. I'm petting it right now. You can't see, but I'm petting it. But until just recently, I just finished getting rid of all my old electronics. But until about 8 days ago, I had 7 old towers and boxes of old parts and old hard drives and just all sorts of, because I don't throw out tech.
Yeah.
I recently went on binge repairing old tech and monitors and stuff and selling them to subsidize Christmas purchases and Boxing Day and whatnot. Anyways, but I built a dedicated tower just for emulation.
Nice.
Just for emulation. So it'll emulate all the Wii games, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, all that other stuff. Dreamcast doesn't really work so well, just because the emulator is kind of hard to do. Same thing with the Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, especially because Dolphin, which is the emulator that's predominantly used for GameCube and Wii, just hit the turning point where it's 95% perfect.
Nice.
It's
they
probably
recently had their update, didn't they? That just fixed so many problems.
Oh, it's night and day different compared to what it was even 6 months ago.
I spent a good hour watching a presentation video just showing all the improvements to the engine on all these problematic games they had.
Oh, it's I've played Monster Hunter Tri, for example, on the Wii. I never owned a Wii, which is why I'm big into the emulation scene for that, because I missed out on all those titles. But I played Tri at my friend's house on a big TV. But when you emulate it with Dolphin, you can add anti-aliasing and upscale the video visuals. It looks so good. It looks so goddamn good. It's amazing. It's so good. And GameCube games too. You can really make them look so much better than they originally looked.
Oh yeah, you can make Wind Waker look a hell of a lot better than it does on the Wii U.
Oh man, that's the one thing about playing Zelda games in emulation is playing the Zelda games on Wii for your emulation is a bunch of them. You kind of need to just go get some Wii controllers. because emulating them and mapping them to a traditional controller, your
Just
mouse and
doesn't
keyboard
work,
or a mouse,
yeah.
and you got to jump through a lot of hoops. So it's just cheaper just go buy a couple used.
There's also no point playing Wii Sports with a keyboard, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, I went out and I got a used Wii Remote Plus and a nunchuck, and I went to the town. But you want to know how many gigs of video game ROMs I have right now?
Got 30 gig.
30 gigs? Oh man, you're lowballing it.
Really?
Really. So right now, let me bring it up. 5.2 terabytes.
Whoa!
Basically, you've got video games. Like
You basically own the 70s, 80s, and 90s on your console, on your PC.
I basically got everything. No, there's no PS3 or 360 games.
Okay.
But everything else. like pretty much like if it was released in English or it got I'm so deep into the scene now that I'm getting like Japanese hard modded conversions into English and like the whole deal. Like just
wow.
like I mean, there's so many games here that I couldn't play them if I had 1,000 lifetimes. Like just like I've got a little automator that just auto scrolls and just picks one at random for me to play because there's so many.
Otherwise, you just end up playing everyone you come across, and you'll never get through A, basically.
Yeah. And this guy sent me $75 through PayPal because I actually own a lot of old Game Gear games.
Okay,
I actually own the games.
Yeah.
So I got the tech. So I've been ripping them and making my own ROMs.
Okay.
And releasing them. And this guy was looking for a couple, and like I didn't realize like how hungry the emulation scene is for like quality ROM, because a lot of the ROMs floating around were torn 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they weren't really done the best.
Okay.
So it's just like, oh my god! But it's so fun. It's so, especially when you got a nice screen to play them on and everything else. Like it's just this bottomless pit of and Launchbox. If you're gonna have if you're gonna be doing PC emulation, is like this front end that's like like Netflix shows you nice little images and little metadata on all the movies. It's basically like that for every game. But you can take it a next step further, and now like every game plays a little bit of music, and it shows a little mini movie when it comes up, and it's just really so
nice
crazy.
In the presentation and stuff. I don't know where I stand on the whole, like, because it's a very grey area, emulation, basically. Like, I can completely understand if it's a game that you can't play or get anywhere else, and that's the only way that you're going to play it, and that's a particular reason why you do it. I can see the complete fascination with having a massive collection of like every game ever, so that's available to you, sort of thing. But like I used to have an Xbox that died, and then someone refurbed it for me, and then stuck a whole load of stuff in it, including like MAME and like an arcade emulator and other emulators and stuff, and that had loads of different games on it. But I don't know, it's a weird one, because you kind of think that most of that money probably won't go to the people that made it anyway. It might go to the company that made it, but it's unlikely to go to the person that did, kind of thing. So
I think well, at least with the Wii, I suppose there's a little bit of guilt there, because that stuff's still sort of semi-relevant. But I mean, like
Nintendo are literally still selling that stuff, Pac-Man.
Yeah, I don't think the guys who made the Odyssey are worried that I'm not buying their game that's 30 years old, right?
US Gold's going to come after you for some royalties.
Yeah, I mean, but I do own, minus the Wii, I own all those systems. I got, like a lot of 35-year-old gamers, I got a closet full of old cartridges and everything else. I certainly don't own cartridges for everything that I'm emulating, but you're right, it is a Gary. And I know there's some countries where they actually try to crack down on it a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's particular. I think it's the same sort of case over here as it is for you. That it's like something that, if you were doing it and making a lot of money out of it, it might be a problem. But if it's just something you're doing as a hobby, I don't think anyone really cares about it too much generally.
Yeah, I think the next step for me is taking what's in that PC and putting it into an arcade cabinet and building...
building your own arcade cabinet, yeah.
My buddy's got one, so he's got his cabinet, so you can stand in front of it and play like an arcade, but it's got a drawer underneath it that has all the different controllers. like the old arcades used to sort of bolt the controllers to the arcade station.
Yeah.
It's like that. Only the cords are much longer.
Okay.
And that cabinet also has a number of display ports and HDMI on the back, so you can plug it into big screen TVs or everything else. But that's my next step. Building my own arcade cabinet with everything.
That's a very cool thing to do with, I think. I mean, that's essentially like you can get arcade cabinets from a company over here called Bespoke Arcades.
Yeah.
And that's essentially... that's what they do. They basically just put a PC in a
bunch of
cabinet
emulators of them.
and get a bunch of... I mean, obviously, that's something where I'm assuming they're doing that a bit more legitimately, getting licenses here or there, or doing whatever, but...
Well, they probably just build the skeleton for you. Like, I mean, almost everyone says you got to get your ROMs on your own. And I do definitely recommend, if you own old cartridges... except for rare examples, doesn't cost that much to get the kit to make your own ROMs. To actually tear it off a cartridge, and 9 times out of 10, you'll get a better quality ROM just tearing it yourself.
Okay, and that actually seems that seems a fairly legit thing. If you own a physical copy of it and you're just using emulation to help you play it, I think no one would have a problem with that. I don't think. No, I can't see how you would. Like,
no, I mean,
physically
like,
own
again,
it.
Yeah, you literally could say I own that. And the other thing is, with those, except for 1 or 2 Game Gear games, I'm not sharing those with the public. And I didn't sell it to that one guy who tossed me money. Like I released it, and he found an old PayPal account that I didn't even realize was still there.
and
there
so
was
happy
money
he
appeared
just
in
gave
it.
you money. Nice. Well, that's a fortuitous kind of upside from it rather than you profiting from it generally. But yeah, it's definitely, as I said, a grey area, but I can definitely see the fascination and why you go for it.
And those Pokemon games, like I literally had never played a Pokemon game. I'd never played a Pokemon game to completion until this year.
No.
What?
And now
What?
And now I finished 9 or 10 of them.
I only played my first ever Pokemon on the 3DS, and I played it to the finish.
Yeah,
well,
like,
not quite. I didn't do all the extra stuff at the end, but hey.
I went for Pokemon Blue in 1999, and I completed it. I got my squad. Everyone was up to level 99. Like, new games were coming in. I was still playing the original one. I just never moved on. I never progressed. So then I went back into it in Moon and Sun and went, what the hell is this?
I probably could have stayed and put way more hours into the games I passed. Like, I certainly didn't take them to max completion.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to sort of get through the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance age of those games. But even then, even now, those games are still hella fun.
Yeah, it's just got a general, very playable base mechanic, basically.
I can't talk to the Pokemon fan base though, because they all have hundreds of these different Pokemon names. Like they know the names of
by heart.
I can't remember more than 5 of them at one time. I know
it's probably because you didn't watch enough of the cartoons in which you learnt the songs every week to know all the names. And see, that's your problem.
The only 2 characters that I can ever remember is Pikachu and Squirtle. That's all I got.
Good. Yep.
That's all
I got. That's all I had for years.
Charmeleon, Wartortle, Mewtwo, Tentacruel, Aerodactyl, Armanite,
you set him off into the song, Pac-Man. No, back away from the Pokemons.
It's just it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Anyway, you should probably move on. Just quickly, yeah. It's actually fascinating the emulation stuff because I too have I got given a Raspberry Pi for Christmas for my brother.
I really recommend him. It's a really great project.
I'm turning mine into a media hub, and then I immediately went, God damn it! I got to buy like 4 or 5 more of these things because I want to do stuff with them. I've actually attached a picture on the agenda if you scroll down, but. My friend made a mini arcade cabinet for old arcade games, like a tabletop cabinet.
That's awesome.
And I saw that last week. He unveiled that project, and I went, I really need to buy one of those.
That is awesome.
Make that.
I gotta say, like I toyed with making a media hub, but if you're gonna do a media hub, like a good one that will get long term use, you're better off buying a network attack storage, like a Western Digital MyCloud.
Yeah.
Like actually buying yourself your own cloud server.
Yeah,
you can get one
I'm doing mine on the cheap. Is the idea?
Well, I mean, you can get one really cheap now. I mean, it's like you can get one for about 150 Canadian, which can't be that much.
That's like $1 million in the UK.
Yeah, do you know how
our
weak
currency
the
had a
pound is
crash
right
recently?
now?
I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's within a price range most people could afford. And then you can turn that into a Plex server or whatever you want to do for all your media, and you can get all your movies and music and pictures and stuff from home or your phone anywhere you are. Like it's much more powerful and it will last you much longer. It has much more capability. Like the Raspberry Pi, you don't want to push it too far because it's not like the golden ticket to everything you want. Like you're gonna be disappointed in some of the limitations.
Okay. All right, Tim.
Yes.
From closed alpha to closed beta to open beta to the full release game.
Yes.
Let's see if we can make it, was it 3 or 4 weeks talking about For Honor?
Well,
okay, wait. Vikings or samurais?
Well, see, I had the debate. I was going to go samurai, but then I was like, hang on a second. If I'm representing home turf,
Damn Skippy.
I kind of got to go with the Knights. Representing the UK.
The Knights.
Yep.
There's a severe lack of beards.
Yes, that is definitely on the downside.
I'm Team Beard,
but on the upside, fair maidens and things. So
not true.
But yeah, this was a little bit different. I'm only a few hours into the game, but basically everything we played in the beta and alphas and things were all generally kind of multiplayer focused, and so I've been sort of going through the single player game.
I didn't even know they had a single player game.
Well, yeah, they announced it a bit ago, and it was something I was worried about because I really liked the mechanics of the game. As everyone knows, from listening to the show sort of thing, I'm not the biggest multiplayer gamer. I liked the kind of multiplayer, and I hope to play a bit, but I've always been more predominantly single player, and so yeah, I was a bit worried that this might be a bit tacked on, and early couple of levels were a bit worrying. There's a bit of this that we did actually play in the alpha, I believe. I'm not sure if it was, I don't know if it was available in the beta or not, but basically, yeah, it was a bit where you play through, and that's a bit of the story that you play through at the game. You get the chance to choose one of the 3 factions, and as I said, I chose Knights. So I'm not sure if it structures it differently if you do choose one of the different factions. I assume it does. But I'm playing through the Knight story, and I'm on chapter 5, I think, or 5 or 6 of it structures it as 1 point something, and I'm on 1.5 or 6, as I said.
Okay.
But yeah, and then there's the 2 other stories, and as I said, I'm a few hours into it and haven't even got through the Knights portion of it yet, kind of thing. So there's at least a few hours of it, and as I said, the early portion of it was a bit they just seem to have tacked a voice over me killing some people kind of thing. But it does expand a bit upon that. One of the early levels that was really quite cool was there's some fights that take place on sheets of ice. And you can see where it's broken up into certain sections. But if you stay on any one of those sections for too long, they start breaking up and you go through the ice. So if you're fighting with someone in a sword fight on that, it was quite cool. And yeah, that was quite good. And yeah, some of the other environment stuff have been interesting. And in a game where you really need to take, be aware of your surroundings, and you can throw people to their death and stuff. I've just been having quite a lot of fun just finding amusing ways. Oh, I'm going to throw you on the spikes, and I'm going to throw you over there. And just I've been having fun playing the game, and I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's been quite enjoyable so far, and to the point where if it carries on this way and I do get into the multiplayer thing, it could, and it's very early to be talking in these kind of tones, but it could be contender for one of my games of the year. It's that strong at the moment. I'm really enjoying
it's another
it.
rise.
Well, look, I definitely enjoy that type of thing, but this is done fantastically well. I really like the balance of the sword system and how you're guarding and stuff. I know from you and me encountering some really hardcore players when we were playing Coleman that yeah, there's going to be some hardcore people online.
No, didn't happen. We floored them. We were too awesome, Tim.
Well, we got through a good few
we had
teams,
no
and then we
footage,
came
so
up
no one
against
has to
one
know.
team that we just kept on fighting against, and they were hardcore. I know. I'm really enjoying it.
I like that sword fighting thing, because the thing is most time you see swords or axes and stuff in video games, it's very button mashy and or execution kill move type thing. I like the idea of like a sword fighting game because you don't really see that very much, where it's actually like you like dueling with another player with swords in a sort of way that's not a fighting game. Well, I guess it is a fighting game almost in a way too, because it's got all those moves and sets and stuff.
Yeah, and I did say it is like a fighting game where you need to know not only your own character's moveset, but you need to know the other character's capabilities and stuff as well, because and how that affects where you are in the environment and where you should stand and where you should choose to fight and all these type of things. Have you played it at all, Pac-Man? Or
I played I guess both betas. I think there was 2, right? Yeah.
Because I really like the sword system for anyone that hasn't seen it. Basically, when you're in an encounter with because there's like drone type enemies that you can just kind of bash your way through. But when you encounter a big enemy or you're against another human opponent type thing, you can you lock guard by like holding the L2 button, and then you can move which direction that guard's in. It's a bit different with different characters, but generally speaking, you can move that direction that guard is in by moving the right analog stick in one of 3 directions, either up, so that you're in a kind of upwards guard, or facing left and facing right type thing. And you have to be in one of those positions to block, and you can like then parry from that position with a well-timed kind of attack. But otherwise, you're looking to time your attacks and get your attacks in where your opponent isn't guarding as well. So you need to really be paying attention to what your opponent's doing and how they're standing and how they're trying to attack you. And yeah, it feels very kind of slow and deliberate in some senses, but also quick and frenetic in others type thing as well. And yeah, basically the single player story takes you through like a set of different characters. There is a narrative kind of like holding it all together, but you go between like different people you encounter, and there's a different kind of the character classes that they're taking you through type thing.
Nice.
And at the moment I'm doing one that I didn't play at all in the any of the alphas or betas. It's the dual sword one, the one with a long sword and a short sword. And she's got like a totally different guard mechanic. Like you don't hold up or hold left or right. You kind of just flick it just before, and she'll like stay there for a second, but she doesn't hold it in that position. She's got a neutral guard basically. And yeah, but she's really quick and really deadly, and like stabs people very quickly and stuff. But yeah, she plays very differently, and I'm kind of just excited to go through those other people. I'm also enjoying playing the single player. I was fearful that would be a weak point in the game, but I actually think it's from what I've seen so far, at least, if it keeps up that level and keeps on dropping in a couple of the surprises, like I said, that ice fight that was really cool and other stuff like that, then yeah, I'm really, really happy.
Oh, this is another game. I gotta get this. I gotta get Neo. I gotta get Yakuza 0. Man.
Well, see, this was at the start of silly season for me as well. And Pac-Man, if you pick it up on the PS4, do so, and we can play some multiplayer as well. Because I think this is going to be a fun one to have some squads of us.
Add that to your wish list along with WWE 2K17.
Well, I mean, it really depends on whether or not I cancel this Switch pre-order or not. I got a couple more days to decide whether or not I'm going to do that.
But there's so many good games at the moment. And there's that Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh god, that's coming
Mass
up too.
Effect, and
yeah.
Oh god.
I mean,
there's so many games I need, not that I want. I need these games.
Mass Effect and Horizon Zero Dawn are must buys as far as I'm concerned. I mean, really, I'm just recouping paying vet costs because my kitty cat got sick, and it's just like vets cost a lot of money. And I mean, she knows I love her because I pulled some I worked so much OT that my boss is like, you can't come into work. It's actually against the law for us to let you work any more hours. And I'm like, oh. But, was able to make enough money to pay the bills and still be able to afford this Switch pre-order, which I still might, or which I might cancel, or I might just get and immediately flip.
Literally, the impending loomingness of must-have games nearly talked me out of buying For Honor, and I'm really glad so far, at least, that I didn't, because I'm really enjoying it. So.
I've heard good things. I haven't heard anyone talking about it in detail as much as you have just now, and it sounds great because I love that. I mean, the idea of just knights fighting samurais fighting Vikings is just it sounds like something me and my buddies came up with when we were 14. It sounds awesome.
That's one thing I didn't talk about. There is a narrative, it's complete drivel. Basically, it's just these three people started fighting because all the land went up in the air and things went to shit, and this guy was causing everyone to fight. And that's basically the story. But like that might develop as we go, but we're actually following a kind of a band of knights at the moment called the Black Storm, I think it is. Or Black Hand maybe. But yeah, like that sort of narrative at least is good. The overarching narrative of why things are happening.
The Black Hand, so it's the Sicilian Mafia? What the hell?
But
wait, wasn't that Nolan North character in Lord of the Rings Middle Earth, whatever the hell that was called?
I can't remember what it is. It's Black something anyway. But it's fairly generic. But that narrative is okay. But the overarching narrative of why things happened is like it literally. You know the trailer they put out where it's the three of them fighting and revolving. That's the opening CGI thing of the game, and that's why I was a little disappointed. Part of the reason I was a little disappointed at the start, but it's kind of seems to be paying off as you go, basically.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up there, Mr. Hibbs, Mr. Bear. So, before we go, Tim, you've got to talk about Tabletop Tuesday.
Tabletop Tuesday. Yeah, well, this week we were expecting a slightly lower turnout than the previous week's stonking numbers, mainly because we were having an event on Valentine's, and, you know, maybe not always the best idea.
Sock game.
We understood this. But yeah, the sock game, and we had like about 40-something people there kind of thing, so it wasn't, you know, a bad turnout for Valentine's type thing, and it wasn't that long ago that was how many people were coming to Tabletop. Just, in recent months, it's been bigger than that, basically. But yeah, anyway, sock game went down very well and it was good fun, and thank you very much for the inventors of that coming along and showing us the game. And the sock game is available to play in the bar from now on, as most of our previous feature games have been. This week's feature game is a game called The Lord of the Rings Journey to Mordor.
Oh!
Yeah, with pesky hobbitses included. But yeah, it's 2 to 4 player game. It takes about 20 minutes or so. So it's kind of, nice and quick to get in and out of, basically. Alex has been playing an early copy for review with a couple of people, and it seems to be quite good. They seem to quite like it. Should be a good one. And for anyone that doesn't know, each week we have a new feature game at Tabletop Tuesday, and if you come along that week and try that feature game, you got a chance of winning a copy of that game to go home with.
Oh, I want to go out there so bad and make you guys play Battletech with me. Oh, man.
Well, the next time you're in London, Pac-Man.
we're always there on a Tuesday, sir.
Yeah. Like, as soon as I get over being a shut-in and a crippling fear of flying in airplanes...
We're gonna fly you to England, B.A. Barracus style. We're gonna come over there,
drink your milk,
get you on a plane.
Can you still take a boat? Do they still have like
you must be able to take
boats that you can travel?
Surely, yeah.
You must be able to.
Like a couple of weeks, maybe, but yeah.
maybe I'll do that.
I mean, you'd probably come in at Portsmouth, which is more my grounds than London, but hey, I'll take you out for a pint of snake bite. It'll be fine.
Well, I mean, if I go, not in London, because I got family in Cardiff.
Oh, okay.
The UK isn't actually that large compared to a lot of places, so it's not like I couldn't get from Cardiff to London, but if I could get there, I could stay for free.
I did Cardiff to London just a couple of days ago. That was a nice, 5-hour trip?
Oh, it's not like when I was coming to Edmonton, Pac-Man, I was like, you want to pop over and come say hello?
Yeah, it's like the other side of it. It's really far away.
Yeah, it's like the whole of Europe away, basically.
The only negative if I went to stay with the family in Cardiff is like, they're not Doctor Who fans, they're Torchwood fans. and that's like a weird like division.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
you just couldn't take it.
like literally, I was talking to one of them the other day, and they're like, "Oh, if you come, we can show you where like they shot all the scenes for this Torchwood episode." I'm like, I like Torchwood as much as anyone did for the first 6 episodes.
I have this conversation with Lauren all the time.
Oh my god, you know. Like, they don't have a TARDIS, they have, like, a replica of that elevator that went underground from the street level.
Do not have the little bunker hole that Jack would sleep in.
And they're all bisexual for no reason, like... that's not a knock on anyone, but literally everyone in that show for the first 2 seasons was down with doing it with anyone, which is...
That's because it's BBC After Dark.
It was weird, like, everyone can't
really
be bi.
strange, I have to say.
That's Tabletop Tuesday on the 21st of February at Dalston Loading Bar Scenario. Good. Right.
Do that.
And we just got to say thank you to a couple of people before we bugger off. So, Tim, who has been on the forums, sir?
We would like to thank from the forums Stingo, Richard Kirk, Are we just going with his normal name now? No
Yeah, I can't be
variations. Kirky. Anyway, War
He hates that.
Machine, Rid Cully's Hat, Houdini, and Alex.
Yay!
My wife.
A conversation sparks on the forums over who started going, Was that you or your wife, Tim?
I think we probably have recorded evidence that it was me first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was you, and then, like, it rubbed off. Yeah. And on Twitter, thanks to Sad Wizard, 2 Dogs 1 Cat Gabe, Rob Evans, sorry about the Fire Emblem thing again, Spencer H,
Snuck it in there.
the D20 Future Show. Tim, you want to check these guys out? They're a podcast, and they do a show about tabletop, but it's like a story-based show, like a radio play.
Role-playing.
They just finished their first season. They're about to start the second one, so go check them out.
Okay.
And also, thanks to We See It in Pixels, they're another video games podcast. They've been going a while. They just had a revamp as well, and they said that they listened to us, so that was nice.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Well met.
Yep.
Come say hello.
No one on Facebook this week and no one on iTunes this week. So those are 2 things you can do. Facebook.com/BigRedBarel, iTunes, Big Red Barrel UK. Leave us a nice review and we can read it out on the show for everyone to hear. Lovely. Pac-Man, thank you for jumping in and filling in for Dan and talking about loads of emulation stuff, because I genuinely found that incredibly interesting.
A worthy replacement.
Yes.
It means we get to talk about a bit more PC stuff as well. It's always good.
Thank you guys for having me on. It was lots of fun.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah, we'll have to make it, not another 230 odd shows before we get you on again, basically.
Yeah.
So, this has been episode 231. Has it really been that many? 231 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast. For this week, I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
I'm PacManPolarBear on Monday through Friday.
Who are you on Saturday and Sunday?
I can't tell you because that's the login I use for porn sites.
That's fair enough. And until next week, dear listeners, thank you so much again for listening. We'll catch you next week, and goodbye.
Stay frosty.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com.
for more podcasts?
News, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.